Hello Internet and welcome to my channel. Welcome to the Fox's Den. Today I'm going to start a new series of videos that I will use to sort of retrospectively look back at my games in the past week or so. I'm going to take certain topics, certain things that happened in game, incidents, ideas, whatever, player interactions, character interactions, things I do, prep before or during game. I'm going to use clips from my various games to show examples. And I'm going to use this series of videos in order to just have fun and maybe help people out, answer some questions that I see asked of quite often in certain forums, such as Facebook forums and Reddit posts and whatnot. I won't make this a rule-specific place to go, so if you're looking for rules, loring, and such, not going to be here. It won't be specific to D&D either. I do play Call of Cthulhu and other RPGs, so I'll make it open to anything in all RPGs that I play. So, without further ado, episode number 1, the topic for today's show, GM anxiety. Do you know what it is? I certainly do. Let's get started. Alright, so now that I've had my coffee, I got some water, ready to go to talk about GM anxiety. So, I've been a GM for well over 30 years. For the past 20 years or so, I've been pretty much playing D&D or Call of Cthulhu or some form of a tabletop RPG on a weekly basis. Mostly as a GM. I've played as a player for quite some time, but I'd say 90% of my time has been GMing duties. Now, as a GM, I can tell you without doubt that I have suffered and continue to suffer from GM anxiety. Now, as time goes on, I get used to the group. It becomes less so of an issue. I become older, wiser, whatever. It's not so much of an issue as it used to be, but it never totally goes away. There's always a little bit of me that freaks out moments before I go and start a game. You are performing somewhat. You're playing a game, but you're playing characters, right? So, in any case, pretty much every performer out there, be a singer, an actor, they all suffer at some point some kind of stage fright or anxiety. I think it's just natural. So, playing a game and playing the GM part where you have to sort of play multiple characters to your players, it could easily bring on some form of anxiety, especially when you have no freaking idea what the players are going to do that evening. And inevitably, they will always do the exact opposite of what you've prepared for. And that, my friends, brings on an extreme amount of anxiety. How do I handle it? Well, it's not easy, and I can't tell you how to handle it. Everyone has their own particular ways, and I'm not a psychologist or whatever, sociologist. I don't deal in that. That's not my field. But I can tell you, based on my personal experience and based on what happened to me last night, and this whole video is sort of come to fruition because of what happened to me last night. If you're having that kind of anxiety, take a break. Perhaps you're just not sure and you go into a game, you're nervous. It's normal. Like I said, 20, 30 years, and it still happens to me. So what happened to me last night? So I'm playing with a bunch of guys. I have never met them in person. There are 4 other guys who are from different parts of the States. I'm in Canada, as well as my friend Brendan. And so we've brought in 4 guys that I've slowly gotten to know, and they're all pretty cool. We get along. I think we're quickly becoming friends. But I don't know them, so I found myself somewhat anxious about going into a game without Brendan there, which sounds kind of silly, but I found that having someone there to ground me, knowing that I at least have one person who knows me, makes it easier for me to play the game. And I'm sure the guys are going to watch this and start laughing and whatever, but hey, it's true. It's kind of I just had this little panic attack before the game started, an hour or two before the game. I was like, oh crap, Brendan won't be here, and I kind of rely on him for this and for that. It I don't know. It's weird, right? It's really weird. But anyway, I went into the game, and I kind of just took a moment, listened to some music, relaxed. I had everything ready. I did a bit of reading to kind of just make sure I was ready. I didn't forget whatever I needed to know for that particular session. And the first thing that happened is everyone just started talking. And I gotta say, that is probably the best thing to do in any situation when you go into an RPG session. Don't just jump into the game. Don't just like dive headfirst. Like, take the time to socialize. After all, you're playing an RPG, tabletop RPG. Socialize. Talk about your week. Talk about whatever. It helps. It helps ease you into the moment. It helps you get to know people. Got into the game, it disappeared. It disappeared because my players are awesome. The players, you players have a role in easing the DM into his job. Because if you come in and you're all like hyper about the rules in the game, it's like, it's great, but sometimes it's a bit much. It's fantastic when you can walk into a room or into a virtual room and the people who you're playing with get along. That's the key. If you're having anxiety issues, do not, and I stress this, do not play with people who could potentially trigger you. I've been triggered in the past by various people for various reasons. And that has only added to my anxiety over time. So I always have this thing in my head. Oh my God, what happens if this happens? Or if this person does this? Or anyway, just all this to say that if you have the right group, and if you're in a group, try to just be friendly. Simple. Be friends. You're not in it to just be a player. It's a social thing. The other thing I gotta say, actually, now that I mentioned player, as a GM, the one thing I do to kind of ease into it is I kind of forget the fact that I am the GM and I have all this power and I have all these characters and whatnot, and I know the story. I don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, I have some inclination as to what could happen. Remember, you are a player. You're not just a GM. So don't freak out and worry too much about your GMing duties. Try to just relax and play the game. Yeah, you have a lot more on your plate than they do, but if you have the right players and they're helpful, they will help ease you into your role too. It's a two-way streak. So here's an example. This video that I'll show is a video from my game from last night. And at this point, we're just talking, and we're talking about... Well, here, I'll show it to you. Let's take a look. Fit a group, or at least people that I think would get along. But I fumbled along the way quite a few times, let me tell you.
I got kind of lucky because I didn't know where to go. Hell, you were the first person to hit me up whenever made the post on one of the forums.
Yeah, that's what Red hit me up too. Is great.
But my redneck comes out real quick if I'm dealing with assholes. I'll tell somebody to go fuck themselves real quick.
Amen. Don't got time for that.
I deal with enough bullshit at work. I don't need to deal with it here.
Right.
In person, I will tell you where you can stick it, and if you don't like it, I got a bird to sell you.
Wasn't that awesome? I mean, when you got a bunch of people who can get together and be friendly towards one another, who have common goals, or maybe not, we don't really have common, like, we don't live in the same city. We may not have the common jobs or backgrounds, but we get along, and we just want to have fun and play the game. And as you can see from the video, we're all pretty chill and relaxed. The minute I got into the session, we had a battle this particular session last night, and the battle took about an hour and a half, and it went pretty well. But then I took a break, I came back, got a bit, uncomfortable once again because I wasn't sure what's going to happen next. These guys were chilling, talking, relaxed. We talked for like almost 10 minutes just out of game, and it was awesome because you get along and you socialize. Try to be social to one another. Don't just dive into a game and forget about the people who are at your table or virtually, in front of you, because you're all people and you're all social people, human beings who need that interaction. It eases everyone into the game, and as soon as I got back from my break and had my drink and everyone was talking, and then suddenly we're talking about past experiences and whatnot. That input that I got from the players is gold. If you're a player and you have a DM, give him some love or her, because they really deserve it. They put a lot into it. So first of all, to my players, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being there and for being just great. And to anybody else who's out there and who's not sure and who's uncomfortable with the idea of being a DM, or occasionally get these anxiety attacks or nervous breakdowns during the game, step away for a minute and socialize. Just try to be a little bit more at ease with yourself and the people around you, and it slowly over time you should be good. It's a game. You're supposed to have fun. Don't worry too much about whatever. I'll be back next week with some other video, some other topic. We'll see. I'll bring in some clips from my games. Hopefully this was useful to somebody. If so, and if you want to, see some more videos and see what I have upcoming, hit that subscribe button, click the thumbs up, hit that notify bell, and hopefully I'll see you back here again. Till then, play safe, and see you next week.
Yes.
It is your turn.
All right, so I'm going to. Do I still got a hold of the guy that I basically threw on the table or not?
No, you threw him on a table. He crashed through the table, broke it. He's on the ground.
Is there anybody in front of me? Is there anybody?
Yeah,
in between me and
Tarlock
the
went
other
right in
dude?
front of you.
Fucking little fucker. Move.
He did say he moved in front of you. I didn't say anything. Okay. Although you probably didn't notice because he's so short.
I'm gonna step over his ass.
Difficult
No.
terrain, buddy. Ooh.